So we often picture a warmer Arctic, maybe, teeming with more life. But what if that very warming actually messes up a really key natural process? It sounds a bit backward, right?
It really does. And that's pretty much the core of a new study we've been digging into. We're looking at research from Yominez and his team at the IC3 Polar Research Hub.
Okay.
And it basically shows climate change is starting to weaken how well Arctic fjords can soak up carbon.
Right, carbon sinks. So why should you, listening maybe miles away, care about Arctic fjords? Well, because these changes, even in remote places, they actually ripple outwards. They affect global climate regulation.
Exactly. Let's get into this surprising dynamic.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so it all starts with phytoplankton, tiny little organism.
The base of the food web up there.
Precisely. And crucially, they pull CO2 out of the atmosphere when they grow. Now, melting ice means more sunlight hits the water,
More light?
which initially makes the phytoplankton grow more. A bloom.
Okay, so far so good. More sun, more phytoplankton. Sounds like a plus for taking carbon out of the air.
You'd think so. But here's the twist. That warmer surface water, it causes something called stratification.
Stratification, like layers forming in the water.
Yeah, exactly, like layers. Think oil and vinegar. They don't mix easily. The warmer, lighter, fresh water from melting ice sits on top of the colder, saltier, denser deep water.
And that stops the mixing.
It does. It limits the nutrient-rich deep water from getting up to the surface layers.
So the phytoplankton are up there getting lots of sun,
Right.
but they're running out of food, the nutrients they need from below.
Pretty much. They get starved of essentials. So that initial boost in growth doesn't necessarily mean more carbon gets stored long term.
Okay, so it's like having a bigger factory floor but cutting off the supply chain for raw materials.
Mm-hmm.
The fjord just can't lock away carbon as effectively over time.
That's a great way to put it. That seems to be the key issue. And then there's the whole glacier situation, adding another layer of complexity.
The meltwater.
Yeah. Glacial meltwater historically brought vital nutrients into these fjords. It was sort of a reliable supply.
But now, with glaciers shrinking and melting patterns getting, well, weird and unpredictable.
That nutrient supply is becoming erratic, unreliable. It's not the steady feed it once was.
So that lifeline is sputtering, potentially knocking the whole ecosystem off balance. It's not just warmer water. It's this whole chain reaction.
Exactly right. And Jochen Nice, the lead researcher, he summed it up well. He said basically, while we anticipate greater primary production, the reality is that warmer stratified waters could hinder the fjord's ability to serve as effective carbon sinks.
So that initial greening, the phytoplankton boom, might actually hide a longer-term problem for carbon storage.
That's the concern. It really shows how complex these systems are.
And it reinforces that idea of the Arctic as a kind of climate barometer, doesn't it? What happens there gives us really important clues about global climate shifts.
Absolutely. And this study, it gives a really long-term view, looking back thousands of years, which helps put today's changes in context.
Okay, so let's recap the main takeaway. Warmer Arctic waters, more sunlight. Yes, that can mean more phytoplankton initially.
The stratification it causes, plus the now unpredictable nutrient supply from glaciers, that combo likely weakens the ability of these fjords to be effective long-term carbon sinks.
So a change that looks positive on the surface might actually undermine a crucial climate regulation process. It's a real reminder to look deeper.
It is, and maybe the thought to leave you with is this. How often do environmental changes have these hidden, complex trade-offs? This fjord situation really pushes us to think beyond the obvious, about how interconnected everything is and the real, sometimes surprising impacts of climate change.